Welcome back. Well, as mentioned earlier in the news bulletin, power utility Eskom say that the system remains constrained with the risk of stage 1 load shedding remaining for the next few days, with the grid needing to at least 10 days to stabilise. Meanwhile, wage negotiations for Eskom workers are to resume in order to ensure security of electricity supply. And this is after the National Union of Metalworkers of South Africa, NUMSA, Solidarity, NUMSA and Eskom management met with Pravin Gordhan, the Minister of Public Enterprises, on Saturday. Well, Eskom has also announced that stage 1 load shedding schedule starting yesterday will take effect, and it will take approximately 10 days to recover from the strike effects. And Andrew Chirwa, NUMSA's president, joins us now for a discussion about these developments. Mr. Chirwa, thanks for coming through.
Thank you very much and good morning.
So let's start here. Last Thursday, NUMSA actually walked out of wage negotiations, as we understand. What led to that?
Look, I must say that there was no wage negotiations that was taking place. We went there to negotiate with Eskom, but unfortunately, Eskom management decided to play marbles with Eskom, but also play marbles with workers' future here. They came to negotiations basically to sit and listen. They came and said, look, we have nothing to offer, but we're here. So you'd understand that then therefore there will be no negotiations to talk about what if you have already declared that there will be zero increase, but you still come to the negotiations. So it was for one of those reasons that we had to temporarily terminate the negotiation process. But not only that, at the same time when they came to insult workers in Eskom, offering them zero, they've organized private security to surround the negotiations place. Honestly, you'll agree with me that such environment cannot be conducive for any negotiations. And that's why as NUMSA, NUM and Solidarity, we're very pleased with the intervention by the minister by instructing Eskom executive to go back to the negotiations. And we hoping from where we sit in that the renewed negotiations that will be starting tomorrow will definitely ensure that we bring solution to the current impasse in Eskom. Look, it's an unfortunate situation. And unfortunately, majority of South Africans will suffer, working class in particular, as a result of what we are already beginning to witness in the form of power disruptions and so forth. But I must put it on record as well that it can be correct for Eskom attempt to put blame squarely on workers' shoulders. We have always called them to come to negotiations. They ran everywhere. They even came here. They went to radio station promising everybody that don't worry, stay put, there's a plan B, there will be no disruption. So where is that plan B? We don't understand, because if there are people that must be blamed, it's Eskom executive, in particular its own chief executive officer, Phakamani Hadebe, who has walked around and said, no, instead of coming to negotiations, being busy, assuring people about something that is not there.
So speaking of that plan B, members of unions who work for Eskom who were picketing, as I understand, NUMSA wanted to set that straight, and NUM, that you were not on strike, you were picketing. Mm-hmm. So while picketing, were your members involved in acts of sabotage?
Absolutely not. In fact, we commending our members' actions and all workers of Eskom belonging to different unions for standing up on that particular day to send a clear message to Eskom that they will not accept a 0% increase, because that means nothing. There's no increase.
Fair enough.
So they have not sabotaged anything.
That message was clear.
Just to come to that point, there have not been any organized sabotage by anybody. Those workers came peacefully, picketed at head office.
Did they intimidate anybody?
At the end of, no, we have not seen any act of intimidation. We have heard people talking about acts of intimidation. That day, our members were very disciplined, as they are always disciplined.
So who did it then? Or are you suggesting that Eskom may be fudging the truth in this instance?
No, that's typical of Eskom. To go out, make huge, big promises, big claims. At the end of the day, they fail to deliver. Once they fail to deliver, they go around looking for scapegoat. People who were there can attest to what I'm saying, that we have seen one of the most decent, peaceful picket on that particular day in question. Workers were clear, speaking in unison, in one voice, that they want nothing else, but they want Eskom to address their plights.
Who was responsible for the damage? Who was responsible for the acts of sabotage that has rendered us now in a situation where we are suffering stage 1 load shedding once again?
I guess Eskom is better placed to answer to that question, because we have not seen any sabotage. We've seen members who have peacefully decided to embark on a protest. As to where was the sabotage, we don't understand what Eskom is talking about. In fact, Eskom is refusing to account, because they must tell us what was their plan, what was this plan B, because we have not seen sabotage. We honestly, unless if there's evidence to prove otherwise. But we have not seen any sabotage by workers of Eskom. They've just done what we have said they are going to do, which was to picket, to send a strong message to Eskom that workers at Eskom deserve an increase and they are prepared to fight for that increase. About sabotage, we don't know.
Hypothetically speaking, if members of NUMSA were to be fingered and evidence is presented that some of your members were involved in these acts of sabotage, what would your response be to that?
Look, we honestly, we doubt if such can be anything.
That's why I said hypothetically speaking.
Anything next to
hypothetically speaking, what would you do?
Look, like I'm saying, that, in our view, is nothing next to the truth. But also, if there's such a type of misconduct by members, as organizations, including ours, we do have measures in place to ensure that we step in, to ensure that we correct things that need to be corrected, because we're also an organization, we're not an organization of lawlessness. So, as and when there are issues of lawlessness, there are issues of ill discipline, misconduct, our organization as well has got capacity, has got institution to ensure that we address those matters. But as things stand, we are not aware of incidents of sabotage where our members have sabotaged Eskom in any way. We think that if there's a person who has sabotaged South Africans, who is busy sabotaging Eskom, it's its executive, in particular.
But why would they do
CEO.
that?
We don't know.
Well, what would be the benefit?
No, because there's an agenda. You know, this thing is bigger than all of us. In fact, we think that it's high time that South Africans wake up to the fact that what we're fighting for in Eskom or against is we're not just fighting for an increase. We're fighting for survival of Eskom as we know it today. There are wolves outside there. They're looking at Eskom to devour Eskom for their private interest or private businesses.
Who are those wolves?
For them, Eskom must be privatized. These IPPs, independent power producers we're being told about, is part and parcel of that agenda to ensure that we don't have Eskom as we know it today, but the national grid will therefore be in the hands of some few people, which will be private, of course, who are going to maximize profit out of Eskom. And it is the poor that are going to pay huge cost of electricity once that happens. So
you've identified them, Mr. Chirwa. Who are those?
The time will come, we'll see them. We already know some of them, that you will see them. Some are they are saying IPPs. You must go and look at the companies in IPPs, look at the BEE partners. You could see that there are people who are standing on the queue to benefit. So if we are told about state capture, then we don't understand what is a state capture. If what is happening now in Eskom, it is to allow to proceed. Eskom is bleeding. It's bleeding billions. At the same time, when it's bleeding, there's trillions of money that are being set aside by Eskom to fund IPPs. This is called independent power producers. But they are not independent. They rely on Eskom to make trillions of money available for them to supply us with energy.
Mr. Chirwa, we're going to come back to this, and we are currently in conversation with Andrew Chirwa, the president of NUMSA, giving us an update on the latest developments around the Eskom wage negotiations. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll ask more about where they are at with regard to the impasse that had them walking out of those negotiations last week.